Can you imagine? You couldn't even do that 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago. There's just no such thing. You just buy a book and you would read it and you'd practice. And so like in the past week, I've just immersed myself. I've done a few like projects like in the background, like totally guided by ChatGPT or Claude Code or whatever. I've built agents within Claude Code. Like I've got about 20 different agents that are all working on a specific thing in the app and helping me on a specific thing. And even just that, thinking like agents actually helps too in that domain as well. So it's been a really fascinating week or two for me.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just reading somebody had posted this thing about how like they felt that AI was making their brain weaker. And I was like, wow, that is the worst take. If that's happening, then I feel like you're not using it because
You're not
what I
extending
find,
yourself. I think if you're just doing what you always did and you're just like offloading it to ChatGPT, then yeah, you're not using like this is, you can truly offload your cognitive load to an AI, right?
yes.
But if you're learning
And
something new, then that's like giving you a lot of other things to fit in your brain and stuff.
that's exactly right. That basically, if I know how to do something, I'm offloading that to AI.
Yeah,
I don't write M code anymore. I don't write DAX anymore. That's offloaded. And so
yeah,
now one of the things I've been really diving into is MCP security. Really trying to understand like what's the difference between running MCP containerized versus on a virtual machine. And this is not anything I've ever studied or have a background in. And just like you, it's like I'm just getting the AI to teach me and build me a mermaid diagram that shows me the difference between these two options. Explain to me. I throw it into LM Studio. I'll throw a bunch of articles into LM Studio and say, okay, create me a 15-minute podcast I can listen to in the car while we're traveling
yeah.
that'll explain this to me. And it's remarkable what you can learn using these tools.
Yeah. And you know what else has changed, I think? And we alluded to this like last week, after the last time we chatted, but I think GPT-5 is way better. I think it's way better. It explains things really well. And it's just a step above what 4.0 used to be.
Unquestionably.
Yeah. I actually was like, as I was using it, I was like, wow, this is so good. This is so good. It was like, it was totally crafting. It was getting where I was at and then where I wanted, how I wanted to be explained. It just felt like it just like automatically knew it. And then it was just like constantly explained to me in ways that really clicked. It was just such a good experience. Whereas historically, if you're using 4.0, you'd just get bullet points or you'd just get structured output, but it just adjusted for how I wanted to learn very quickly as I was working through it. And you just extrapolate that out and you think, okay, this is what I'm experiencing. Think about what's happening to the hundreds of millions of people who are using this tool. That is incredible. Just think about what that means for humanity. If everyone can offload some of that cognitive load, like what you can learn, it's just this massive acceleration coming out. There's this massive acceleration in learning and doing, and there's just going to be so many flow-on effects. It's just so fascinating to be living in a time where that transition is happening. It's going to become very normal, like soon, isn't it? I just don't feel anything is out of reach in terms of learning. I really don't.
Oh,
Like, I honestly don't.
I feel exactly the same way. I feel like with sufficient time, I learn to do anything.
Totally. And I reckon maybe like a quarter of the time, a fifth of the time, maybe less of the time to actually learn something. Like, I was just like, as I've been immersing myself in this Laravel and PHP, not also learning, but also doing, right? Also doing because I use Claude Code, I use Cursor agents to actually do it, to actually speed up the actual project stuff that I'm working on. It's honestly like 10 times quicker compared to if I had to write out all the code, buy a book, study a book, go to blogs.
AI just feels it has that immediate feel of being back to totally empowering the individual,
Yeah.
putting this incredible brain and tool set just right in front of you and saying, go do with it what you will. And that
Yeah.
feels incredibly exciting.
Yeah. Learn anything, do anything. Yeah. It's you were talking about the stack before. I don't know. Maybe the stack just expanded so much, right? Like it's just been one layer after the next layer, like the next thing you had to buy and you had to implement. But maybe it's like slapping it back down into less of a stack, like more dynamic of a stack, more. Like you create your stack per project now. It's like completely more agile.
And
Yeah,
so much more personal. Like my
yeah.
stack is going to be totally different from yours, even
Mm,
though we have a tremendous amount of correspondence in the way we think about things, the way we
mm.
do things. And I guarantee when you line up what your configuration looks like versus mine, they're going to be really different.
Yeah, yeah. Mine is changing all the time too. Like now,
Oh,
like
yeah.
my latest Claude Code didn't exist 6 months ago, and now I'm using Codex, Claude Code, and Cursor agents all in one go. Hey, it's
Right.
so it's so agile and evolving. New MCP layers are gonna like tools and connections are gonna open up more new things. What's the biggest opportunity is we might have touched on this before. Building that context seven that you just mentioned, they actually have a paid tier. So there's another opportunity is just like paid tiers for MCP connections into all of these tools. And one of the ideas that I have is I built this tool called Content Lead. And so we have it set up to send, you can send social media content and schedule social media content into 15 different platforms in one go. And so we've built this in behind the scenes. It initially was going to be something outside of Enterprise DNA, but now I've dragged it back into Enterprise DNA. But what I realized is that I think this should just be an MCP tool. This should mostly be an MCP tool. Imagine if you could craft your social media posts within, say, ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, and then with one call to the MCP client, you could send it to 15 different platforms and maybe even get it adjusted for all the different platforms. So imagine that's a pretty cool service, right? Like people, I would pay for that. People would pay for that.
Yeah. And
And
each one of those services is just a separate tool.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so this is actually what I've been thinking lately as I've been reviewing and using MCP a little bit more. And then seeing that, so ChatGPT in the last couple of weeks actually opened up the developer mode so that you can actually do this yourself
Right.
and getting started. This is going to be huge. Like everything that you want to do, you'll be able to do via these AI clients by just connecting through having MCP connections. Even as something as complex as actually sending social media posts with images to different platforms, like even something as complicated as that.
Think about basically the bright data in reverse. That this
Yeah.
is this incredibly sophisticated web scraper that has 61 tools to say, okay, it'll scrape from Amazon, it'll scrape from LinkedIn, it'll scrape from this news site, it'll scrape from Markdown, it'll scrape from HTML. And all it's doing is it's routing the request to the right tool to scrape. All you're
Yeah.
doing is running that in reverse. You're saying, I've got information. I want to send it out to all these different sites, post it and transmit it in the way that's appropriate to the structure of that site. It's exactly the opposite. It's the mirror image of Bright Data,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a perfect fit for MCP.
Totally. It totally is like these, yeah. As I'm learning new things, I'm seeing new opportunities. It's all compounding on itself. It totally is. As I'm learning new skills and building new things and seeing how we can evolve enterprise DNA, getting into these new things. So it's coming together in my own mind more, even though it's just like it is for individuals and a lot of businesses. Everything staying static and doing nothing is probably not the right strategy right